super humanistic podcast where we talk about all things health and wellness. We are your hosts, David and Jessica. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you follow Super Humanistic on all socials. Hit that follow button on this podcast so you never miss another episode to continue to stay healthy. Last week, we talked about natural ways to boost your immune system. So if you want to learn more about how to naturally boost your immune system through foods, through exercise, through Mother Nature, go back and listen to last week's episode. This week, we are going to be talking about flight or flight, but more specifically, an approach called Tend and Befriend, which can help you overcome the flight or fight response. So we'll jump into that. I'll start by explaining a little bit about what flight or flight is, and then you'll be jumping into more of the specifics related to the technique of Tend and Befriend. So go ahead and grab a cup of tea and settle in as we talk about this important concept. So it's a very primal and automatic response when it comes to the fight or flight response. It's really related to physical danger, emotional stress. It's part of our survival instincts and a legacy left over from our ancestors when the world was a very different place because they needed to be able to spring into action and fight off that lion, tiger, or bear. So in today's world, though, things have changed. We don't really have that relationship when it comes to Mother Nature and when we're out there in our everyday lives. We're not really running from animals or prey or predators, but we have different threats in this life as we perceive them, such as deadlines, personal challenges, or even relationship stress. So our body still tends to respond in a lot of the same ways, and kind of really activating that fight or flight response. So today we're going to be exploring how we can dial that down a little bit, guys. We want to make sure that we're not activating that response, but try to replace it with Tend and Befriend, which is really going to be a more powerful and calming technique that everybody can use out there. And you're going to jump into that.
Yeah, I mean, Tend and Befriend really isn't anything new. If we think about it, even like back to when we were all like cavemen and women, that family structure, the male would be the hunter, and women the gatherer. But if the family as a whole was all out in nature and came across a threat, the man typically is the one that would be fighting that threat. So that's where like the male has that fight or flight, and women still have that fight or flight, but a lot of times it was more of the protection, right? So I need to protect my children. I need to protect my family. So that's kind of like that foundation of befriend, tend and befriend. So they're tending to their children. They want to make sure that they're protecting their children. So there are certain biologies or cues that evolve to make this an instinct in especially women. But we can start to do certain things to get that tend and befriend or the oxytocin instead of the I forget what it's called, the adrenaline. There we go. So we want more of the oxytocin, which is that positive hormone that pumps through our body versus that adrenaline. The adrenaline, yes, it can be good for our body, but we don't want to feel that every time that we are stressed and have something that we're facing as a challenge. We want more of that oxytocin or those good feelings to come when we start to feel that stress. So that's how we get to the calmness. So Tend and Befriend shifts our focus to help someone else rather than focusing on our own stresses and challenges. So if it could be lending a hand to a loved one, maybe there's someone else going through a similar situation, but your focus isn't on how can I help them to help me. It is solely helping that person through that. Yes, in return, you are helping yourself too, because you're going to get those oxytocins pumping through your body, as well as learning through the process of helping them that, oh, if I can help them, that means I can help myself with this similar situation. So ways that we can start to incorporate that Tend and Befriend, since it's not as natural as the fight and flight response would be first just noticing what those triggers are that are causing the stress that you have in your life. So that's the first thing. Second would be to deepen that social circle of yours. So not being afraid to reach out to other people, and you can't help other people if you don't have other people to help. So deepening your social circle as well. And then having those de-escalating strategies ready to go. So you want to learn and practice those even when you're not feeling stressed. So doing it on a regular basis so that when you are faced with a stressful situation, you have that in your bank of, oh yeah, now would be a great time to practice my breathing techniques. So mindfulness tools, think of like your deep diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. There's also another technique that I've recently been trying called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is where you notice 5 things in your environment. So literally 5 things that you can see and name them off. 4 things that you can touch in your environment. 3 things that you can hear in your environment. 2 things that you can smell. And then 1 thing that you can taste. So that shift of not thinking about the stressful situation that you're in instead of just being mindful and in the moment can help to kind of de-escalate that adrenaline that's starting to surface in you. Number 4, you want to infuse your relationships with those bursts of positivity. So handing out praise liberally to your friends and loved ones, finding ways to show that you appreciate them on a day-to-day basis. And then number 5, track that emotional state of your loved ones closely. So of course you can see those signs in your loved ones and friends who are also loved ones that maybe something's going on. Maybe they're starting to go through something that's hard in their life. So being mindful of that and noticing those signs so that you can step in and help them through that situation. It also will help you to notice those triggers and signs within yourself for when challenges do arise. So having recognition of when your friend or partner is stressed out and then making that tending to them more intuitive, and you feel more connected that way too. Number 6, of course, if you're still unsure of like what triggers you may have, therapy, talking to a therapist is always a really good thing to do. Even if you aren't going through something difficult, having that person to talk to, because there are things that may pop up and stresses in our world, right? Like all the time there's stressors, whether it be work related, family related, personally related, like there's stressors. So having that person that you can talk to that feels like a safe place for you is always a positive thing to have. Plus, you can practice those tools of mindfulness within a safe place too, so that when you do face those challenges, you're ready to go. Then, of course, having that social support. So there are different apps out there that you can connect with people, whether it be through Facebook, different social media, even a podcast like this, developing friendships through people who have similar interests of yours. So developing those things, even if they're not right there next to you, having someone that you can go to, whether it be online or eventually you will meet them in person, helps you then when you are facing those challenging moments. So that is the tend and befriend method versus the fight or flight.
All right, there you have it. So the next time that stress starts to rear its ugly head and you can feel that fight or flight mode being activated, make sure that you try to activate the tend and befriend response. Guys, make sure you lean into your support system, practice self-compassion, engage in those calming activities, and connect with others. This approach will help you manage your stress. It'll also help you grow stronger, more resilient as well, and just more connected to both yourself and others around you. So if you found this episode helpful, make sure that you subscribe, leave a rating and review, and share it with others so we can keep bringing you tools to help stay healthy and mindful. And that's what we had for today. So we certainly hope you found these tips helpful for avoiding fight or flight. Remember, stress doesn't have to control you. It's all about finding the right tools to shift your body and mind into a calmer and more connected space so you can be more superhumanistic. We'll see you next time.
Bye.